More schools in the Western Cape are expected to benefit from a government program to train educators to teach children with special needs. The ELSEN program caters for children with learning challenges such as ADD, dyslexia and dysgraphia at primary school level, but plans are underway to phase it into high schools. The program was first introduced in the province by award-winning Plettenberg Bay educator Lee Dunn and is reaping positive results.
Education in crisis has become a buzzword in the media all over the world. Poor service delivery of textbooks and educational resources to schools, overworked educators, burdened educators, ever-changing educational legislation, ill discipline of learners, and those are just some of the problems that a person sees all over the world. And especially nowadays, right now, the UN is busy sitting and changing legislation, passing laws, so that disciplining of any learner older than 10 years old by any adult or any authoritative figure will now be illegal, even from the side of educators or parents. Now, doesn't that tell us that the boat of education is being rocked at the moment? Education is in crisis, and without looking around us and without looking at the problem, I believe that we should look at ourselves, because just maybe the solution is within ourselves. We as educators can make a difference if we focus on the right things. And through this documentary, we want to make an awareness. We want to bring an awareness of inclusive education. And the importance of how inclusive education can perhaps change the vision of this nation. I always use President Nelson Mandela as an example. If the vision of one person could change this nation, why can't my vision change the world? I'm Lee Dunn. I'm from Formosa Primary School in Plettenberg Bay, and it's such an honor for me to be a pioneer in inclusive education.
Formosa Primary School is situated in a low-income area. Although many of the learners have learning disabilities, their parents are unable to afford occupational, speech, physio or remedial therapy. These children are further at risk due to their exposure to unemployment, poverty, substance abuse and crime. Many face a bleak, hopeless future unless they receive not only quality tuition, but also help to bridge their social and learning disabilities. Use is made of sensory, multi-intelligence, inclusive strategies, which are shared with other educators and schools. Some of the occupational therapy programs which we make use of are brain gym, handle and monkeynastics. These fine and gross motor skill activities are done at the start of each day. Research has proven that even simple skills like running, climbing or jumping allow children to master important mathematical skills like judging space and directionality. It helps them with coordination and enhances their interpersonal skills. Furthermore, we often combine mainstream and special needs classes in these programs to improve the social skills of our learners. Our daily EduPeg class is a multi-level mathematics program aiming to improve the child's basic visual perceptual skills and visual motor integration skills. The program is simple and easily accommodates special needs, mainstream and even physically challenged learners. We don't always have the opportunities to expose our learners to modern technology, yet research has proven that ELSEN learners find it easier to mobilize a computer than read a book. During visits to schools in Europe, Lee has noticed that every special needs child has their own personal computer in class to simplify the learning process. Our learners do lots of creative art activities like drawing, tracing, coloring, painting and finger painting. According to Dr. Kobus Neertland, founder of the SA Creativity Foundation for Children, a creative child is automatically in a better position to find opportunities where others experience problems. Painting, especially when done with even brush strokes, has therapeutic benefits and also gets done during counseling sessions for traumatized children.
I've been fortunate enough to compare many educational and inclusive models all over the world. Firstly, having had the opportunity to teach in South Korea for many years, also visiting special needs schools in Europe, especially Belgium and Holland, I've noticed that Europe and Asia makes use of specialized education instead of inclusive education. And what I mean by specialized education is that if a child has, for example, autism spectrum disorder, that child would go to a special needs school only for children with autism. In the UK, I've also done a little bit of research by having people from the UK visiting my classroom, and I heard that they make use of inclusive practices through taking in physically handicapped children as well as mentally handicapped children into normal mainstream schools. Even that inclusive practice has not been working too well. Over in the US, every state passes its own educational legislation. So inclusive practices are quite different all over the US. In California state, they have special educational classes within mainstream schools. Those classes are like the ELSEN units that we have started over here. And I believe that that is a possible inclusive model which we'd like to follow. But we'd like to take it further and prove that by changing the ELSEN units to become resource centers, we can pioneer education in South Africa and also go and show other schools worldwide how to change every school to become a full-service inclusive school.
Hello, I'm Elke from Belgium and I'm 24 years old. I work in a school for children with a mentally handicapped. And Lee McDunn, he came to Belgium 2 months ago to visit my class. And he came to get some ideas because he works in school with also children with a mentally handicapped. And my children, I have a class with 9 children and they have the level of, they are 12 years old but they have the level of grade 1. So it's going slowly, you have to repeat everything. But I like to do it, it's my passion. And Lee came to my class, he took some pictures, he get some ideas. And I went to his class this year and I saw that he get my ideas, that he works with it. He is so excited to do some work for those children in his class. So I'm proud of him, I'm proud of myself that we work for those children.
By exposing children to the outdoors, we broaden their concept of the world. So, instead of simply bringing the outside world into our classroom by means of books, learners are taken out of the classroom to experience the world.
In the normal class, the teacher is definitely not equipped to handle teachers with disabilities or that needs to be separated from the class. And in the old days we had special classes, but they had to stay there and they had to be in there for a year or 6 months or whatever, but that was a totally different situation. But with this one, inclusive education, and the ELSEN units that we have, it caters not just only for Formosa Primary, it caters for the surrounding areas and the surrounding schools. But the immediate effect that it has, instead of having children being placed at special schools, they can now be within the school. And as long as the system goes on, when the child is improving or it gets better, that child can be placed back into the mainstream, which then immediately shows us that the inclusive education, special schools within the normal school is then definitely working. So it's a big benefit to the school to see your children going out of the mainstream into that ELSEN unit and then placed back into the normal classes, which shows you whether it's fruitful or not. And then you can rectify it immediately, because it's not that someone has got to go somewhere in the region, or it's immediately, it's at school and things can be rectified immediately.
Lee's classroom is often used as a resource base for departmental cluster meetings. Recently, all the ELSEN and learning support educators from as far as Sedgefield, Knysna and Plettenberg Bay gathered to learn inclusive practices, which currently involve lots of pictograms, visuals and creative activities to stimulate learning.
I think for the children, it's not a challenge, but they are happy about it because really to separate a child from home, it's so hectic, especially like our special schools will not cater that much in a language of a child, a native language of a child. Like here around, we've got not so many special schools. So if you take a black child to those special schools, firstly the child is gonna face a problem of a language. Then that makes a child not feel it's a part of that school. So really to work inclusively in a school, in a mainstream, that helps with the child. Just for us teachers, we must just be able to use a variety strategies such as all the learning style so that we can be able to reach all the level of the learners.
The wonderful thing is that as the teachers get to know the children, the ones that are challenging to them because they have special needs, when those children become part of that teacher's heart, the teacher's attitude will be softer and they will be enabled to do more for those children. But the initial change from having more a homogeneous type of class to one that is very, very differentiated has been difficult for teachers. But South Africans are known for their hard-working attitude and never say die attitude, and they will always make a success out of difficult situations. I think that for the children in those classes, it's a wonderful thing because they feel part of the whole school. They don't feel as though they're shut away and closed off and different. They feel part of the whole school, and that's a very positive thing.
Parents always want the best for their child. And if they can keep their learner or their child nearby them, that will be their biggest foci, and not send them away. So it will be fantastic for a learner if they know a school can accommodate their child.
For you as a parent, it's a great honor to know your child be educated and communicate with other children which are able, you see, because most of the time it feels like when you put your child in a special school, it feels like your child is far away from you because we haven't got a place here for disabled children. So when they were the able children, how must I put it now? They get connected and they feel like they're one of them. That's the main reason.
Learners enjoy being part of the school choir. The choir is a place where these children forget about their learning barriers and really feel a sense of belonging. Apart from having so much fun, they learn important life skills like responsibility, sharing, self-discipline and social integration.
Hello. 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 Hello.
Through music therapy, we teach our learners to tune in by focusing their attention and teaching them to discriminate sounds. It has been learnt that music stimulates the child's brain, forging neural pathways in all domains of learning, namely the cognitive, emotional, social, and the physical. The child's entire brain is involved when he or she participates in music and movement.
Cooking activities in class as well, and today we're designing the cupcakes. So each child has to follow instructions and put 4 different colors on his same cupcake and then decorate it with a sweetie. It's something which is really concrete, so they enjoy it.
Baking is a favorite multi-sensory activity. because apart from learning to follow simple recipe instructions, they get to use their senses of sight, touch, smell, and of course taste. What can be more fun than baking and decorating your own cupcake as a class activity? Shared reading is a fun way of learning from one another. It stimulates learners to make predictions, to ask questions, and to learn new vocabulary. It's an amazing way of integrating mainstream and special needs classes. In promoting inclusive education, our class often engages in inter-school activities. We involve learners from other schools and daycare centres such as Die Sterreweg, a daycare centre for physically handicapped children.
Teachers work best when their assets and their strengths are recognized. And I think one of the real ways that educators can be affected by inclusive education is to share whatever they're learning amongst each other and to empower each other and to use the ELSEN unit as a kind of threshing ground and a resource center. Teachers can teach each other. They can work together in affirming ways where their own strengths are highlighted rather than previous models where teachers' deficiencies by and large are highlighted.
Another important facet of inclusive education is skills transfer. In other words, the empowering of other educators and other schools through the sharing of resources, knowledge, and skills. Lee often gets called to do presentations at school, at district level, and even on provincial level.
Dat werkt zo recht, daar speeltelefoontjes. Je wilt pikken met het gepraat daar met mij. Hallo, is het daar?
We have learned a lot of today, and we will also go to our classrooms, and there we will do the same with our learners.
Everything Mr. Dan showed us now was good to go back to your classroom and do the same in the classroom.
Through this documentary, it is not only my vision to transfer best practices and skills to other educators, but also to instill within them that passion to share their knowledge with others. I believe that this is just the start. There is so much debate about whether inclusive education will actually work. Will it work if we include children with physical and mental disabilities into mainstream classes? Well, once again, we can make it work. And I'd like to end by sharing one of my favorite sayings by J.F. Lambrecht. I dream of a world in which my children will not be judged on the color of their skin, nor on their handicap, but rather on the content of their character.
A change has happened. How do we make inclusive education work? Here's a start. Inclusive education includes you.
I would like to thank you, Lidan, for this project to take it further by involving Sterreweg, and also now there's this opportunity for me to go to Belgium, whereby we learn more about inclusive education. And also it is not only about inclusive education in South Africa, but global, because this initiative is one of the goals of the UN. So it's part of inclusive education in all countries. And it's more specifically in developing countries, it needs more attention because there's a lack of resources in our schools. So we need to find a proper way that will make education for all.